Oh man, we're live. My hair's already being wild. I'm wondering if I should prop up the video. Let's see. It's a little bit better. The hair's a little more, I don't know. Every day it's kind of different. So let's see what's happening today on this Saturday for people around the world. Waiting for people to come on. One of the most anxious, what is it, anxiety um, like producing things for somebody who's anxiously attached. Will anyone show up? Is anyone going to be there? Am I going to be all alone? Does anyone care? Basically, what the first 98% of my life looks like. So if you're on, say hello. If you're not, well, then I guess you can't hear me. I'm gonna stay with myself here and drink my coffee and wait for the peoples to come. Okay. Oh, hello, roller girl. Where are you from watching right now? This is like my big like multitasking where reading comments, like just like this. Oh, Las Vegas. Very warm. I guess right now it's probably it does it how does it respond to fall and winter? I'm from Texas, so I assume, hi Jasmine, I assume that it's pretty mild. Ah, sun chilly. That is actually very surprising to me. I'm in the Pacific Northwest and it is cold. I had got I our fall this year was here we are starting off with weather talk. But the fall here in the Pacific Northwest was like really warm and dry and I was just like living it up and I went to Texas and it was more hot and then I came back and it was 45 and rainy every day. So, hey, Joe. Ah, thunderstorms in Chicago. The only time I've ever been to Chicago was, it was, I don't even remember what year, maybe 2011 or 12. And it was March and it was right before St. Patrick's Day. And let's say that I had had too much to drink and I was feeling very terrible the next day. And this was like me and just like this is like a classic just me grasping at straws in life. But anyway, I ended up like not feeling very well the next day and it was freezing and I'll never forget walking around the corner of one of the buildings to go watch the river get dyed in Chicago and the wind hit and I was just like there's no escaping this. It was so cold. I cannot describe and I had layers and no one can prepare. Um, oh my gosh, West Lynn, yeah, very cool. I'm a little bit north of that. Yeah, cold and windy. How did I know? Oh, you're welcome, Joe. I'm really happy that those law of assumption videos are helping. That is something I want to talk to y'all about. Like, what video would you want to see me make? I'll leave it open at that. Anybody got any requests? Joe, where are you typing in from? I think there's a bit of a delay in the text again. It stops and then all of a sudden it just like dumps all these things. Oh wow, Maine, that's so cool. I've been to Maine. I've been to Portland, Maine before. I tried to see some whales. It didn't go well. Well, I mean, it was beautiful, but we didn't see them. And actually, we'd been on the boat for like I don't know. It was like a really long boat ride. I think it had been like 2 hours. Maybe it was an hour and a half. And I remember I was like, oh gosh, I got to go to the bathroom of the boat. And I go, and like the moment I went down the stairs and I couldn't see anything, I just heard the entire boat go, wow. And I was like, apparently some of the boats saw a whale shooting out of the water. And I was like, oh my gosh, my timing was perfect. I should have played the lottery, but not towards my benefit. So I don't know if that would help with the lottery. Yeah, I would imagine that any other city or town outside of Portland, Maine, would be tiny. Oh, way smaller than Portland, Oregon. Yeah, I think Portland, Maine is absolutely charming. I've never seen a whale in my entire life, and maybe one day. When I was in Iceland, they have a whale museum, and that's really intense because they actually have, the whales who have died, their skeleton washes up on shore, or they find them, and it's incredibly preserved. I feel like I need to get my notepad out, but I guess I can refer to these self-concept in 3D. So when y'all are saying the 3D, is it just, I mean, I'm going to assume, but I'm trying to understand so I can make the best videos to, communicate as best I can. But I would imagine that you're doing the work inside, but when you look outside, nothing's happening, or it's not, it's the opposite, or the same thing keeps happening. Oh, interesting. More detailed talks on jealousy and feeling of threat. How do you mean feeling of threat? Yeah. How do you deal with reality when it's showing you different? That's a great question. Jasmine, what like aspect of like what category of life? You don't have to give details unless you want to. I'm always ready to go deep, you know me, especially if y'all saw that meme. I thought it was so funny, everyone's response, because it was like me trying to have a normal conversation. Time is an illusion. I just love it. Okay, so I'm guessing like in a romantic situation or even maybe just friendship, you're wanting to maybe connect with this person and then the opposite is happening. Is that accurate, Jasmine? Okay, yeah. I mean, if you haven't done so already, I have abandonment wounds uh, playlist, and I think that that will really help. And I did that one, I think, like a year ago on a lot of those videos. And I have been thinking about talking about jealousy again because that's the thing. Like, here I am on my soapbox, but in jealousy dynamics, they're more than just like I think understanding what jealousy really is completely helped change my life because I wasn't understanding my self abandonment when I had these issues, and even going back to the feeling threatened that our needs aren't going to get met. Um, I'm getting so distracted over here. Go, Joe. I hope you connect with those numbers, Joe. Um, but oh wait, hang on. Well, I mean, let go of the limiting beliefs and create the space. Why would you not deserve that? And also, I've been thinking recently. I know I'm all. I got my coffee. I got my go-go juice, but the idea, like I was thinking recently about the law of. I just made this up, but the law of expectance. Wait, how did I say it? I guess you'd say the law of expectancy. Like, do you actually expect the thing that you're wanting to change to happen? Because then you understand, like, you go back and you're like, oh, well, I'm not actually in the state that I need to be in. So, how would I ever like sit here and wait for those things to happen? Right. So, it's like automatically, the work isn't on the outside, the work's on the inside. Because if you're not expecting for that to happen, for one, it's going to reduce that tension. Like, oh, no, is it going to happen? No, I expect it to happen, not in a false way, not in a I wish I expected it, but like, do you actually expect for it to happen? If not, okay, well, I got to actually shift how I'm relating to myself. And again, and I'm going to do another video on this, but in the last video I posted, it's like a lot of times it seems like people are wanting, and again, myself included, like I'm understanding me more as I'm sharing it with y'all, but trying to affirm or visualize for the end result of one state to mask the current suffering of your current situation, if that makes sense. So if I had a relationship, then I would feel good enough or I would feel worthy. But you got to work on your worth issues before you have that. But there's so much energy that's lost in trying to manifest that end desire that you feel like might mask or alleviate that pain, but it's not actually, um, it's not actually addressing what you really need. Well, for one, Jasmine, I'm sorry that happened because you deserved better. So the other thing too is realize that person, obviously your father, I can understand that that's a huge impression and you're so impressionable. But somebody who doesn't know worth and specifically who probably doesn't find themselves worthy and who doesn't see the worthiness of a child, they're distorted, right? Like their view of the world and their value system is not going to be healthy in my opinion. It's going to be probably he went through his own shit. Understandably, we all did. But if you continue to relate to yourself through him, which is what you had to do early on, you're going to continue to lose yourself. So what if his opinion is not accurate? What if his emotional maturity is the limit, that was the limitation in that situation? So do you agree with how he lives his life or what he finds valuable? Because if not, just as he probably has different musical tastes, understandably it's hard, but the thing you have to understand is go back with your adult mind, not your child mind. And I don't mean that in like a disrespectful way. I mean that as, can you see yourself as an adult that's really shitty? Like that adult had no regard for the innocence of you as a child. And like even me, like I'm Aries and a lot of fire in my chart. Um, but like you deserved better. He didn't have that capacity. So relating to yourself based on his limitation is the distortion right now. So as you start to shift that, it will start to be easier to let go of. Does that make sense, Jasmine? I mean, these are really hard things, right? Another thing too is a somatic therapist. And why a somatic therapist is important is because right now, the things I'm trying to help with in my videos is to help gain awareness. Awareness is great, but you also have to incorporate the body because the body has a lot of stored emotions. So unless you start to process those and bring them back and process them with mind and body connection, basically, that's what allows you to fully let go and heal. I mean, for one, you're absolutely incredibly strong and resilient. Um, yeah, so he was going through his shit. And again, like I would strongly suggest a somatic therapist to help you process this with your body and your mind. But sometimes when people have been really mean to me, and this was later in life, so I'm not at all comparing it, because you as a child, you didn't deserve that, and you were given big things to hold that weren't yours. He couldn't handle that. He pushed it on you. He wanted you to hold it. He's a human being in a really terrible situation, and you didn't deserve that. No matter what he was going through, you deserved better. And hope I just lost my train of thought. Where did it go? Oh, when people have been really, really mean in my life, I imagine a mirror in front of my face, right? And I mean, people in my adult life, especially later in my, like, not this relationship, because things have shifted dramatically because I shifted myself dramatically, but those last couple, like leading up to it. So, like the 2 or 3 before that, really, really mean, shitty stuff. So what I started to understand is, oh, if I could put a mirror over my face and taking responsibility of what was actually mine, yes, and oh, I can see that a lot of this was about themselves. So if you can start to see like, oh, maybe some of the shit that he was telling me actually had nothing to do with me, which is what the hell does a 7-year-old have to do with that? Nothing. And unfortunately, you were there and at the time took it as something that was yours because you didn't know any better. Because again, I talk about this in my videos of, oh, this adult knows best. They can keep me alive, my survival. So if they're saying I'm bad, I must be bad. No, your dad was going through a shitty situation and he took that, he tried to push that on you and you deserved more. And just the same as you probably have a lot of different opinions about life, this is just a different opinion you have. And you can pull back your inner authority because that's really what it's about, taking your inner authority about yourself from him to you. Okay, I hope that helps, Jasmine. And I think you're incredible, and I think that like the strength you have to go through that is powerful, which means absolutely you can take that and apply it. Okay, so I just want to follow up because you said verbal, emotional, physical abuse I've been living with for so long. Yeah, because again, if you're that impressed upon you what you're worth, and then everybody in the outside world that is capable of treating you that way is going to connect. As you say, basically, fuck that. That's his opinion, not mine. What is my opinion? Actually, I'm really fucking strong. I am capable. I've gone through a lot and starting to shift it away. The people who also um, possess that capacity emotionally can come forward as well. Okay, let's see. Nikendra, is that how you say it? I hope so. You talk about mind-body connection for letting things go. What if you have physical sensations, feelings, emotions coming up that have no brain connection? I guess just let them come up and feel them. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because without knowing a little bit more detail about what kind of sensations, because that's the thing, these emotions that could be the sensations in your body, right? Your body being your unconscious. It's got all of the memories, and it's like basically that box I draw. So that's the thermostat, right? Like, oh, okay, maybe it's about abandonment. Maybe it's about not feeling good enough. So something might be coming up outside of you. You're getting queued up physically, or maybe sometimes too, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this when your body becomes your mind. Your body knows better than your mind. So the other thing too is awareness. There's a book called Vital Lies and Simple Truths, which talks about basically we have this awareness, right? This little tiny ability to, not a tiny ability, but if we're not actively saying, okay, what is happening behind the scenes? What's going on? What do I really feel? Oh, thank you, Joe. Oh, you're trying to make me cry because I'm going to cry. I cry very easily these days, and there's no shame. But thank you very much for your support. I appreciate that a lot, and I'm really happy. Nikendra, I'll get right back to the question, but the thing that's really beautiful for me is like for so much of my life I felt alone. I grew up homeschooled and I have siblings but there was just kind of like this isolation, and then furthermore in relationships I had such abandonment issues and wounds because of my perceptions of things early on, and I just always felt like I didn't fit in. I always felt, I was homeschooled. My parents were pretty conservative Christian. I was gay. I also within that, like I was an athlete that was like hyper fixated on the Olympics. So all these ways in which I just never felt like I fit. And now that's like like a strength because embracing more like I belong. I don't want to fit because me being my full self is actually a benefit. And now also too, the way I explain things, because I think I was homeschooled, it's like helpful because it's not like other things because that's just how I see things. But yeah, it's really powerful for what I've learned and everything I went through, especially all the suffering years, to share it and it help other people. So anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But anyway, back to you, Nikendra, about the kind of unconscious cues. So what you're trying to do is like, yeah, okay, I'm feeling maybe anxious, or I'm starting to feel tightness. What's going on? And just being curious that way can be so helpful because unconsciously, your body's communicating. It speaks through feelings, your subconscious mind. So it's trying to communicate something to you. And I can actually give you a website where it basically helps you see the emotional, like especially if you have a physical ailment, like a sickness or a physical, like maybe you hurt your shoulder or your knees or your hips or something. It shows you the emotional dynamics happening. So it's definitely more on like a Eastern medicine and like meridian points that your physical body and your emotions cannot be separated. So yeah, let me go back to your original. I am all over the place this morning. Yes, feel them because those also too, like these emotions get trapped because they didn't get processed. Oh, thank you, roller girl. You were like so generous this morning. I really appreciate it. Um, but the it's also like distracting too. I mean, in a good way, but like there's big bright colors that come and I'm like, oh, what's this? Uh, but for the emotional stuff underneath, you're trying to bring your when the thing happens, right? You have something traumatic happen in your life or something like, it zings you. And Dr. Joe says like when that thing happens, it's like impress, like, oh gosh, don't do that again. Well, if it's too much, your thoughts and your emotions separate. So you'll have to bring them back together so that you can process them. That doesn't mean, oh, they're around forever. When you truly bring them back together to heal them and process them, you're actually better off than when it originally happened. Does that make sense to y'all? Let me get the website really quick. I don't know if y'all can still see me, but I'm just going to. Oh gosh, I'm overwhelmed right now. I'm like, do it faster. I'm like, I can't do it faster. I'm like, no one's rushing you. I'm like, I'm rushing me. Okay, I'm trying to get the exact thing because at first this website was really overwhelming. Hi, Karen. Hey, John. Okay, so that's the website. So if you click on it, obviously it's a link, but it has basically ailments alphabetically organized. And sometimes it gets a little bit tricky because sometimes common names is not the scientific name. So if you can't find it, Google it. Maybe there's a different, science name that you might find it. Yeah, totally. The tapping can help a lot. Um, let's see. How will you fuse the ladder technique with manifesting an SP? I'm not really understanding that question. Time for a coffee. I think I showed y'all last time. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with these cups. I think because my partner loves bunnies, and it's just like they're the sweetest little cups. And it's probably also too. Oh, thank you, Jasmine. Also too, I guess I'm dazzled by texture, so you can like feel the little bunnies. Just very sweet. So this is basically how I start most of my days with a little bunny cup of coffee, um, responding to comments and emails and all that kind of stuff. Oh, okay. Well, if you insist, roller girl, it's just like I mean, it's pretty. It's just so sweet. And I think I also have an affinity to kind of like, like the handles, like it looks like very homemade, like artisan kind of thing. My mom did pottery before I was born, so I'm very drawn to that. Let's see, let me catch up with comments. So the force, can you, cute bunnies, yeah. Can you follow up a little bit more with that question? I mean, I understand a ladder technique, but how you mean it in terms of that, it's not clicking in my brain for some reason. Um, yeah, I think I've seen Brad Yates. I think that's the guy like who's very big into tapping, right? Because I've seen several of videos with the one guy, but I guess I actually don't know his name, but I think that's it. So um, let me know on that. Oh yeah, but do y'all have any other? I'm trying to see. I just like twirl around. I'm like a little butterfly this morning. But oh, okay. I'm gonna go back to Joe. Yes, I was trained to make the Olympics in shot put. So I went from like 9 years old all the way through. And this is something I haven't really talked about a lot on the channel. I come from a world where I felt everything had to be compartmentalized and separated, and I couldn't be my full self with anybody. So in this YouTube process, I'm working on removing all those walls and being my full self and being seen in it by people all across the world. So it's a process. And yeah, so I trained from 9 years old. I mean, I wanted to be an Olympian at age 5. I thought I was going to be a gymnast, and y'all have never seen me in person, but I do not fit the bill. Like, I just am a much larger mat like structure than most women. Um, and yeah, I was like, I'd outgrown the size of a gymnast by like age 9. And then track and field came up, and I was actually really good at it. And I stood out and I went through high school. I got scholarship for college, and then I actually sucked really bad in college. And that's also where a lot of the first time I got the book Psycho-Cybernetics was actually when I was at my lowest in training. Where in college I threw less than I did in high school, which was a big ego blast. But an Olympic gold medalist, actually recommended the book Psycho-Cybernetics, which that was in like 2006. And so that me restructuring myself and learning how to conquer this is what helped me go from a failing college athlete, because this is kind of what it was going up. And then I was really the best as a freshman in college. And then it started going down. I was like, what's happening? Started working harder and seeing less. And then I got that book, and I had a lot of other shifts with different coaches. And then that's how I ended up making a world championship team. Okay. Do you have to know logically where the feelings, emotions? Well, I do want to finish the story because this is where I usually leave off, because I made the world championship in 2008. I did say this could be story time, so buckle up, folks. We're going to get a little off topic today. But So in 2008, I made the world championship team and everything was looking really good. And I was training through like that was indoor season. So the outdoor season was the Olympics. So everything was great. Like, and it was, I can understand because with a sport, it's much more objective, right? It's like, oh, I'm getting closer, I'm not, because we have marks, we have this kind of stuff, right? As opposed to if it's like a category in life. If it's money, okay, but it can get more like wishy-washy because like, am I doing it or not? So after I got back from the world championship team, it was in Spain, or the world championships. Then actually my mom got sick and like I was just so focused, but she was like in the ICU of a heart hospital and like that threw me off more than I realized. Obviously, seeing your mom in an ICU, you're just like, what's happening? So then that kind of shook me a bit. And that was in April. Then May at the end, and the Olympic trials were, I think, at the end of June and July. The end of May, everything's going great. Like, and all my practices, like I was throwing, like if I would have thrown what I threw in practice, I would have made the Olympic team. And I always threw like half a meter better. So everything's good, good, good. One day, slipped out of the ring, out of the back of the ring. No rain, nothing happening there. And I dislocated my own shoulder, my non-throwing arm. So then it was just like, wait a second, this is not what's going on. What's going on? It's okay. It's okay. And I actually didn't even tell anybody when I hurt my shoulder. This is how, like, just suppress it. It's fine. Push through. Um, which is not the answer. But then I couldn't actually lift my shoulder for a week, so I couldn't train. So, you want to be like fine tuning everything as you're leading up to the biggest meet of your life. Although the World Championship was a very big meet for me, which I can tell a whole other story about fear, which maybe I will another time. So there I was, waited a week, and then I could lift my shoulder like this. And with my left arm, I'm right-handed. And with my left arm, I needed to almost get it. So it was like, okay, so I could throw a little bit. So then listen to this. Then think about though somebody who doesn't have a big capacity for worth, somebody who has to earn their love and earn everything through achievements. Okay. So think about this, the end of the story, when you think about that. So if my capacity is this money cup, but the Olympic team is like a 5 gallon or a 1 gallon jug, well, it's not big enough, is it? So 1 week before the Olympic trials, like the day that I was going to compete, I was rehabbing my shoulder in a local, like a little river, but it was a spring, so it was like cold water. And I was walking down kind of earth steps, and I stepped with my one foot. I'd been down that staircase like, I don't know, 40 times, and I stepped on a rock and basically broke my foot. And I just remember stepping off of it, and then I just was on the ground. I was like, "What happened? Like, why did I just fall? I was just walking." Like, just imagine you're walking and then you're like on the ground. You're like, "What happened?" Obviously, my foot had completely collapsed. Now, it wasn't broken in the sense that, like, my ankle. It was like, if this was my foot, it was basically here. So, like, my fifth metatarsal. So I'm like, and someone was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, obviously, like, I'm fine. I was just walking." And so then I kind of like, oh, like shaken up, and I walked to the river, which is another like 15 feet. And I'm like in shock now in hindsight, but I put my feet in the water and I looked down and there was like a half a golf ball on the side of my foot. And I don't swell very often. Oh, thank you, Joe, very much for that. But anyway, long story short, I get to the Olympic trials. They're like, are you sure we should get this x-ray? And I'm like, just tape it as hard as you can. I just want you to tape it. I don't want to know what's wrong with it. Just tape it. Tape it so it can't move. So I competed on the qualification day. I made it to the next round, and then that made it worse because I was pushing off it really hard. And then I couldn't do anything. Kind of thinking like, it's fine, it's fine. I think it got better. That's like my state at the time. Then the competition day. This is it. Like the top 3 people on this day will make it. I was like, tape it as hard as you can. I don't want to be able to move it. They taped it, and yeah, I gave it my all, but I didn't have it in there. So I still remember like the shock of getting back to like my bag to change shoes. Like, I didn't do it. Wait a second. I was supposed to, everything was going the right way. What's going on? Oh no. Like, and the embarrassment of like not making it because I thought no one would love me, no one would be there because I didn't make the team. And so then it was just like a huge identity shattering because, like, wait, I was supposed to make it. Wait a second. And really feeling like my whole life, like, what just happened? So again, going back to self-image, my image of myself didn't hold. And maybe part of it too was about my mom. I'm not sure how it impacted me deeply about my mom getting sick, but just kind of then I was in like outer space of like, what now? Who am I? What am I? What is there to life? So that's where my experience with identity really started. For one, I'd shifted it to be a higher level athlete, but when world championship wasn't my dream, but it was really cool and it was great. But the Olympian, but not feeling like I was worth what I wanted, not feeling like I had to chase it. Well, it did it perfectly mirrored what I was really feeling. So yeah, that's my athletic career story, and it really like altered me for many years. And then that's when I really got into some bad relationships. How did you make it to that point? Um, I made it to the world championships because I made a choice. I think I remember like I bet on myself because the program I was in, it just wasn't working for me. And rather than relating to my ability through what I was presented with in the training that I had in college, I decided like I'm going to take a bet. I'm gonna bet on myself. And like in the transition between like my last incident, between I took a redshirt year. This is really like a lot of sports talk, but um, I was trying to read, but then I get distracted. So yeah, it was really like just betting. Like I just feel like I had a feeling, and I guess you could say there was a knowing, and it was a whisper, but I just know that I really think I can do this. I just feel like there was nothing that would show you like I still like I met so many people whose athletic talents were like off the chart. The thing I did have is I'm really, really persistent and I get really curious for like a solution and I like to know mechanisms. So all those together in my heart, like I it's like I willed that to happen. But the force of it was my downfall because at a certain point, like power versus force, you can only force things so far, and those are lower level vibrations and ultimately mindsets. But yeah, the big thing of the mindset was just learning how to tackle mine, and that psychocybernetics really helped me at the time because I was very like, oh, don't mess up, oh, okay, oh, and I was just like in my head, and this is long before I knew about meditation. Um, but yeah, that's basically what happened. So I attributed a lot to just me taking a gamble on myself and believing in myself, and then the universe kind of allowed different people and ultimately a really, really good coach to come into my life, and then everything kind of, well, I'll say fall into place. There was some other work to be done, but yeah, that's what happened. That's what got me. But really, like in hindsight, I don't know if like I've healed a lot from it because I'm actually able to watch the Olympics now. For many Olympics, I couldn't watch them because it was too painful, and it still is painful. I'm like, oh, I wanted that so bad. It would have been so cool. Let's see. I did a lot of weight training. I trained 5 days out of the week. Well, I guess 6 days. Some days were heavier than others in terms of weight. Depends also too, is competitive season or not. If it was a competitive season, then I would have trained, I guess, every day. No, still 6 days because, yeah, it was a lot. But when I was at my peak, I actually spent less than an hour in the gym because it was so like um, specific, So a lot of Olympic lifts. Oh, yes, psycho-cybernetics. I'm curious. I've actually gone back and I was actually reading it the other day. Well, I was kind of doing like a brrr and then opening for psycho-cybernetics. And there was some stuff I was like, "Whoa, Maxwell, that like it's some like kind of more spiritual metaphysical in my lens, I'm seeing it now." But I was really surprised by the things he was saying, and I guess it's in the lens, but I can see hello, is it Zuzzy Wuzzy? I think that's how you say it. But yeah, when we change the way we see ourselves, we change everything we're able to see, I think is the best way to say it. And then the other thing is I remember early on, and I'm very competitive. Like I try my best to make it as healthy as I can, but there's a part in me that just wants to, I guess now it's less about other people and just like this urge to like push myself. And so I'm like, okay, here I am. But I remember there was this person that I was competing with, and I can't remember if she was in college and I was in high school at the time, or I think that that was the case. And I just like really wanted to beat her. But I think also too at the time I had this huge urge to beat people because I thought that meant I could get more connection. And I hope you can like resonate with some of those of like, oh shoot, I don't actually need that. And then you can use your resources as you want them, as opposed to how you feel you have to. So, but one of the things she said was, um, you have to walk into the ring, grab your bag, take off your shoes, go into the weight room as if you were a 60-foot thrower, which was like a threshold at the time of like elite versus not elite, long before you ever throw it. And that was the first time, basically, of the idea of you have to be it before you see it. And then, so, and basically that's what I'm doing in YouTube now. But this one is requiring a different, this one's really tapping into some deep things about me feeling safe to share my true self, me feeling worthy that my ideas and my perspective is valuable as opposed to I should be ashamed of it or something like that. So YouTube identity shifting is actually different than the Olympic thing, but same concept that I did with track and field, but deeper for me personally on the wounds that it's tapping for me to resolve. Oh yeah, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Yeah, it's so true. Like it's so simple, and I think on the other side, at least in this iteration, it's like wow, it really is. And again, going back to, I think I talked about it earlier, like when you're trying to affirm, or you're trying to affirm for the outcome as opposed to the person, because I've been thinking about it recently, like the you who you want to be, right? Okay, the expression of that is abundance, or the expression of that is a secure, loving relationship, somebody who's emotionally has the capacity. But when you get attached to that expression, you lose who you have to be. Does that make sense? To me, it's like, oh yeah. But is that connecting? I'm trying to learn how to, or I'm trying to sculpt how to articulate it so it makes sense in a video, but it feels a little bit clumsy right now. But this is a good place to share to see if that resonates for anybody. And now there's like a delay, so I'm like, drum roll. Does it relate? Let's see. Oh, interesting. Swords 123 in. Has anyone, so found your channel since the last 3 months and just went on a binge watch. I hope it was fun. It's nice to see you talk so positive. Okay. Has anyone told you kind of radiate or glow now as compared to the years of past years? I have gotten a couple, and it is interesting. When I see old videos, I'm like, whoa, kind of cringe. Like, oh, and I think YouTube, especially like when I look at like my very first videos, I don't know how to describe, but there's like a green couch in the back. I had such little setup. It was my phone on top of a plant stand, backed up by books, and I would be on my like knees to get the angle because I was trying to use natural light. It was so uncomfortable. And then I'm looking into a camera, and then I'm like, act natural. And like I did identify that I was good on camera, but at the time looking back, like I was just so uncomfortable. And I think that, I was just so uncomfortable. Like that actually was in the midst. And that's another thing too to share is that I started this channel in the midst of the most toxic relationship I've ever been in. And the reason, like one of the boosts in like, I think it was March of 2020 was because I got out of that. And I was like, okay, I got to put this energy in something. And yeah, so if you look at videos from March 2020 through that summer, that is me going through a lot of emotional reconstruction, working heavily with my mentor, and going through some really painful things. And then 2021, in June of that year, again, a lot of life things going on. And then I actually left Texas. So since then, like giving myself the space, and I don't think you have to move places. I don't think you have to do anything. It's more about the inner world. But a lot of it also too, like I just didn't feel comfortable like standing up and moving around. Like why? I don't know. It's like so funny to think about. And I just feel so much more comfortable. I think also too, for one, I've learned recently, one of my biggest fears, I thought, well, I'm not afraid to, why am I afraid to fail? I'm like, I don't think that's true because I've definitely been willing to fall on my face. It's not ideal, but I'm really afraid to disappoint. So I think some of my stuff was so afraid to put it out there that I would say something wrong or upset somebody or even like negative kind of trolly comments, like not having the space of like, oh no, they don't see me in a positive light. So like just building my space for just the same as somebody says something negative, okay. And if somebody says something positive, okay. Like obviously there, if it's helping somebody that feels good, but not relating to myself through that alone has been very big. Let's see, Joe, it makes perfect sense. You have to see it before you become it. Honestly, I've never earned or achieved anything that I didn't feel like it was already mine before I got it. Yeah, there's like I wouldn't describe it as a knowing, but there's just like an itch or like a hunch, I guess I'd describe it as. Boom, perfectly said, Joe. The few times that maybe I received a gift that was too big, my ego immediately corrected it and lost it somehow. Going up to the Olympics. Everything physically was right there. I literally was performing at an Olympic level. I mean, I had my sets to win the Olympic trials. I don't know if based on the end results, it would have been close, depending on how I felt that day. But yeah, because I didn't feel I could have it, it was like I created a situation in which I couldn't receive it because I didn't have that emotional my thermostat, right? And I talked about that. It's like, whoa, we're getting way out of this is inappropriate. Respond, let's destroy everything. And again, not because I hated myself or not because I didn't love myself, but part of me was trying to keep me safe. I can't go be an Olympian, XYZ. Part of it too is like, oddly enough, like imposter syndrome. But it's like, I think the greatest line in imposter syndrome we tell ourselves is that we're not capable of the great things. That's the lie, is that we're not. And the truth is we are. And so the lie of imposter syndrome is that the actual stories in the imposter syndrome fear, if that makes sense. So anyway, yeah. Okay. What are some other questions? I'm like, we've really covered some, but it does really feel good to share that with y'all because I guess sometimes I don't know where to share, like because I've been so detached with different me's, like, oh, me the athlete, me the person in the relationship, me the funny person who solves everyone's problems. They were so disconnected. So now learning that it's okay for me to just be all of them in one is still like, I'm learning how to do it because it was not okay according to me for so long. So any other questions or shares or insights or ahas? Let me scroll back up. Oh, Sword 123 in. I love saying your screen name. It's just fun for whatever reason. Thank you for that. I haven't heard a lot of Dolores Cannon stuff. I have heard some of it, and really interesting stuff. The one book, and this is not related to Dolores Cannon, but Spiral Dynamics. Has anyone read that book yet? I think honestly, all of us are meant. And in terms of Earth's vibration and like the vibration of the collective, I think that when we all are able, and again, like all of our different expressions, all of our different desires, when we let go of the distortions of ourself and step into our true self, like we're all doing each other a favor, and we're all doing the work of the world for the greater good. So it looks different. I do think I love people and I love making videos. I've been making videos now. I won't say that they were constructive. But I love making videos since I was like 14, and those were like um, oh my gosh, maybe I should do like a series of sports talk. Roller girl, like, all right, this is Abby with sports talk. Because I could talk sports, and like, I do think there's something nice when something's so objective that then we can step into it with those vulnerable parts of ourselves rather than like deep into the traumatic stuff. So maybe that's a good idea. Okay, Vincent. I went through some traumatic emotional events a few years back. I was experiencing nihilism and had an ego death. I'm working on rediscovering myself. Should I be running from my past or embracing it? Well, I don't. I think running from is simply spending energy to try to escape from what was. Like your past only has an effect on you as much as you retell it, if that makes sense. And I actually was listening to Dr. Joe the other day, and he said something. I'm trying to remember the way he was saying it. And I'm going to do a video soon. I'll give you all a sneak peek. But basically, like, okay, I've got this perfect glass of water here. I feel like there can be some residue that you'll need some somatic work, like acupuncture, chiropractic, and other different modalities of somatic work. But we have energy every day, right? And if I had food coloring, and the food coloring's the past, and it's like, oh look at this energy, bloop. That little bit of storytelling and emotions from the past can contaminate our today, if that makes sense. So I guess maybe if you can describe a little bit more, Vincent, that like idea, why would you be running from the past? What purpose or like what like end goal would that be of it? Because I mean, really, again, the traumatic emotional events, like I can understand that of being like, okay, I don't want to have that, but transmuting that. And when you transmute it, you alchemize it, you burn away the impurities, and you take out the wisdom. Then that event, even though it was horrible to experience, it leaves you in the end result with wisdom. And the wisdom you can actually apply to your future, making your future better as you alchemize that past event. Does that make sense? Okay. Oh, okay. Didn't know you were. As I'm reading, Joe, I'm like seeing different things, but I didn't know you current day play tennis. That was one thing like I did want to try when I was younger, but so that does help, Vincent. Good. Maybe that's a good idea for a video, how to train, perform like a winner's mindset. Okay, cool. I do have one video. This was like, I think maybe roughly about this time last year. I don't know the name of the video. I think it's something like how I manifested. I don't know, but it's like me in like my USA jersey from the World Championships. It would have been, I think it was like how I meant it. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get my phone because when I pulled up on the computer, I'm like, oh, get back to. I guess because I feel like then y'all can see. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, let's see if I can find it. What? Where would it be? It's like how I manifested. I can't see it because it's not my studio. How I manifested a success. I don't even remember. I don't know why this is so hard for me. But I do have a video that talks about how I shifted my mindset when it comes to my track career that might help you. Oh, maybe it's like how I manifested high performance or how to manifest high performance, Joe. If you can't find that, then email me here and I'll help you find it. Now I'm curious actually to go back and watch it. Okay. Okay, pickleball is like the talk of the town. Like everyone's playing pickleball. I even saw like a kind of a little like spoof video yesterday. I sent to my friend who loves pickleball, but it's like the 5 stages of pickleball. At one, it's like criticize it. Two is like curiosity. Three is like commitment, and then it just like keeps escalating. And then like the people in the end were like, "That's for old people," and then they were like, "Pickleball or nothing," kind of a thing. It was really funny. Okay. Maria Deli, how do you deal with feelings of shame when you realized how much of your power you'd given away? I went through that phase and was wondering if you or anyone else had gone through that. Now, I mean, yeah, giving away your power. But I guess, are you saying like when you look back and you had given somebody else your inner authority? then you feel shame about that? I just want to make sure, Maria, if that's what you're asking, because I can get into that a bit if that is. Oh man, pickleball versus tennis courts. I don't even know what pickleball looks like. I mean, I've seen a little bit of it, but I don't know the like different measurements of the court. But it looks like this is like it would be like a really funny video too. Like people go onto the tennis courts and then across the way they see the pickleballers and then the pickleballers see the tennis people and they're like beef. But yeah, I know that there's different rackets involved and different like I've never seen them in person. My friend goes on and on about pickleball, mostly because she's a firefighter and they do that in their station. I'm like, how do you have time for it? You're over there running into buildings, saving people, responding to these emergencies, and then I guess it's one way to physically like actually work out that. So that does make a lot of sense actually. I'm glad we all can talk that through. But yeah, Maria, it's delayed if you've already answered it, but let's see. And yeah, I think now I'm like getting all loopy. I'm like, let me know, Joe, if you found that how to manifest high performance. I think it is. Um, okay, so Maria, now that you're tapping into a different version of you, I get a lot of what was I thinking moments, especially when it comes to manifestation. So one of the things that I deal with, because like I could go back and like, wow, what was I thinking getting into that relationship? What was I thinking when I was like, what red flag, you know? But I guess when I look back, it's like, wow, for one, I'm like, I'm so thankful that I see differently now. I'm so grateful that I was able to take that experience and alchemize it into wisdom, and I know myself better. And that experience, although very painful, um, it helped me to get to the place I am right now. Um, so the shame is that you're wrong. Like, shame, for one, like that's one of the lowest level vibrations. But how would you have known any different? Who taught you, right? Like I certainly didn't have people teaching me the things that I know now, which is my desire to share with y'all. Um, but yeah, how would you have known any better? And like, wow, how incredible you went through that. And that version of you helped you get to where you are now. Does that help you at all, Maria, with that? Like, wow, I can't believe that's so amazing that I can look back and I saw the world completely differently. What can I see in my future that I don't see now with the person I am right now? She's going to get me there. I'm glad you appreciate that roller girl about the like. I just see the slow motion, like maybe even some smoke and like taking off the glasses, looking across the court. Okay, perfect. I mean, not perfect, Maria. That great. You were raised to struggle and self abandon. So self abandonment, that is an aspect of it, right? You're comparing. I should have known better. According to who? Whose value system are you using in that? Staying with yourself. Wow, I am so grateful to see differently now. I'm so grateful that I have the discernment to make better decisions. I'm so grateful that I'm able to love that version, like that person. And I'm like getting emotional because I think that I'm resonating with, looking back at me and the relationship I was in when I was physically abused by somebody I thought might actually kill me. There was a moment that I definitely thought that could have been it. And I've never had anything like that before that moment or after. But like, I could have sat there and been like, how could you have been so stupid, so ignorant, but really it was like, wow, I was in such a place of desperation for somebody to love me that, wow, that's, again, I don't ever think we manifest somebody's abuse like that. But I do feel like, okay, what was I thinking? What was I willing to do because I didn't think that I deserved it? Because I didn't think that anyone else would, like really getting into like the source of where this is coming from, because then learning that, oh wow, let me go to those parts that are hurting so much, let me give those parts love and lead with that, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you were learn to struggle or learn to self-abandon, part of it too, you could be trying to recreate unconsciously. How could I have done that, right? Like that goes back to I'm not doing it right, which could kind of be in that struggle energy. Like I never have what I need, as opposed to look what I've done. That's empowering. That's power, as opposed to force. It's higher level vibration, higher level consciousness. And I also would suggest the abandonment wounds playlist. It can help you a lot with that self-abandonment. Yeah, it really was terrifying. And, that's one thing, Joe, oh, you found it. I'm just seeing the top one. Yeah, it's like that. It also gave me the ability to really connect and resonate with a group of people that I would have never got it before. Like, oh, wow. Okay, wow. There's a lot of toxicity. There's a lot of self-abandonment. There's a lot of comparison and like self-criticism when it comes to abusive relationships. But yeah. All right. What are some other questions? I mean, we have really been all over the board, sharing my athletic experience. Now we're talking about my physical abusive relationship. I'm here for it. And I mean, that's another thing too, is like at first when that happened, I didn't even tell. There are still some people that I haven't talked to one-on-one about it, but it's like, do I need to? Right now, I don't feel that's the case. But I didn't share it with people because I was so ashamed that I found myself in that situation. So being able to share with you today is like, oh, wow, I've come a long way. Bye, Jasmine. Thanks for being here today. Have a good day or night or whatever it is that you're there. Okay. Swords 1, 2, 3, N. Do you believe in law of attraction? What's your thought? After I found your channel, I could actually relate with law of assumption more and actually make sense as compared with law of attraction. I think they're tomato, tomato. Law of assumption attracts, right? Whatever you believe will manifest. So you could say your beliefs create the law of attraction. It's kind of different words, whatever resonates. But, law of attraction, in my experience or my understanding, is a lot about thoughts. Well, okay, that's the first step, right? But you've got to get to the magnetic part, your electromagnetic signature. The thoughts are the electrical part, and your feelings, what you're attracting, is the feeling part, the magnetic part, the subconscious part. So law of assumption dives into the heart of the matter, which is kind of funny because it is your heart. Your heart is like so magnetic. I forget the thing. I think electromagnetically, it's like so much more powerful than your brain. There's so many more nerves. Is it nerves? Yeah, nerve paths going to your brain from your heart than your brain to your heart. So your heart is sending way more energy up to your brain than your brain telling your heart what's up, if that makes sense. So when you get to the law of assumption, it's a deeper level of law of attraction that actually moves the needle, as they say. Yeah, exactly. See, now you're speaking my language, Joe, because that's what I see. The one other thing I think is my strength is I see patterns, right? So law of vibration, law of attraction, law of assumption. The only way they work is doing the same thing, which is changing your vibration, which is changing your assumptions, which is changing who you are to attract. It's equivalent experience in your outside world. Is that making sense? According to who? Oh, good, exactly. According to who is a great way to think when trying to understand our old mindset and why we saw things the way we did. Yeah, whose value system are you using? Is it outside of you or is it inside of you? And again, if it's not, you're like, oh, thank you. I'm going to take my inner authority back. Oops. Like that's one thing too, going back to Maria, your comment is like, oops, I didn't know any better. And that's okay. And I know better now, and move forward. I think it's funny sometimes when I'm just like, oh, I forgot to read it outside or out loud, outside myself. I really, Sandia, I hope that, Sadia, I put it in there. I hope that's how you say it. I really enjoy watching your videos. Just a question about limited beliefs. So over the past year and a half, I did realize it, and I have this limited belief. What is a limited belief? And maybe I can help more. What do I eat? You know what's really interesting, Roller Girl, is that earlier, before when I had breakfast, I was thinking, oh, I wonder if anyone will ever ask me what I eat. I'm not even kidding you. I'm not kidding at all. And then you just asked me that. So there you go. The biggest thing for me that's most consistent is my breakfast. And this is funny because I literally just thought this like maybe an hour ago. So this is like kind of surreal for me. But what I eat for breakfast is almost the same thing every day. And I like it because it really is clean and it just helps me stay full. And I really like to feel full. It's like a half a cup of rice, almond milk, a scoop of protein, a metric ton of blueberries, turmeric, spirulina, some hemp seeds. That's about it. And it's usually warm. Oh, yeah, I already said blueberries. So I'm primarily plant-based. I haven't had meat since like 2017, but I do eat dairy sometimes. And that's because I watched What the Health one time in 2017, and then I was like, until further notice, I'm not going to eat meat, and that's uh, I haven't done that since then. And now it smells weird to me, but I'm not like grossed out, and I'll leave if somebody's eating meat. It's more about physical. And I ate so much meat and casein and whey protein as an athlete. I'm like, I should probably balance the field. Yeah, exactly. Your heart is so much stronger than your mind, but your mind spins primarily from past. All the memories and the chatter is most likely from the past because you feel into your future, in my opinion, and you learn to like catch your thoughts up with that. Okay, I'm getting now to you, Sadia, your limiting beliefs. Whoever I love leaves. I'm not worthy of commitment, love. So again, I highly suggest the abandonment wounds playlist. But yeah, I'm just realizing like an hour ago I talked about jealousy. But so what I went through and what I learned that changed my life is because I had a similar thing, right? Like when I want to connect, somebody's not available and I have to do more. I have to go over. So instead of meeting like say 50-50 for a measurement, I have to go over to them and I hope that they just don't leave. I'll do all the work. Y'all just stay there or, kind of doing that kind of stuff. And so a lot of that comes from self-abandonment. A lot of that is jealousy is I feel like they're not there. I feel like they're going to abandon me. They're going to leave. And I'm suspicious or distrusting. That's kind of one side of the thing. Or the other side, and that's kind of like a fearful, avoidant, dismissive energy, in my opinion. And then the other side of that coin is the characteristics are anxious and you compare. So that's more of the anxiously attached thing. So same energies coming from, I think they're going to leave, but different expressions. Now, when you have that, you're self abandoning, relating to your worth through somebody else. So, what do we know? That's most likely coming from childhood. And either the caregivers you were around were emotionally unavailable or you perceived they were, that when you got close or wanted to get close, they weren't there for you. And again, that could have looked a lot of different ways for a lot of different people that are watching. But the thing you got to see is, oh, okay, if they weren't, that doesn't mean other people aren't. Maybe that parent didn't have the capacity. So they weren't holding it back. They weren't choosing that. That was their only choice. And I deserve better. I deserve to have my needs met. And when I relate to myself and take back, there's a lamp here. So I keep like taking it off the lampshade. When I take back my authority and relate to myself through me, that's when I can start to see the world differently. Oh, okay, this person's pulling away. I really want to tell myself the story that I'm not good enough, that everyone leaves. Nope. You know what? I'm not going to leave me. And for me personally, that's what changed my life is for me starting to learn when I was leaving myself and know that nobody, no thing, no person, no situation was worth me self-abandoning. And I still work on it. Like I'm not perfect. Sometimes it spirals and I have my moments and then at the end of it, I know like, okay, whew, I lost it a bit. And the polarity of jealousy is duty. So know that. I realize that I have childhood trauma and it's ongoing until now because I constantly being compared and gaslit by my parents. Do you have tips on how to heal from ongoing issues? Yes, for one, I mean, it's going to be awareness. You're like, oh shit, okay, I got this stuff. Okay, that it might feel more painful, but at the end of the day, you're actually seeing what's been driving your whole life. So if your parents are comparing you, again, I go back to the abandonment wounds playlist because there's a video that says how to stop comparing yourself in relationships. And even though it's not romantic relationships, it's just different dynamics. So that understanding, especially triangulation, hero, victim, persecutor. So if your parents, if, I don't know this is accurate, but I'm just going to throw it out there. So if you're the victim and your parents are like the perpetrators or the attackers, do they then try to be your hero as well? Or are you looking for somebody else to be your hero? Because being on the triangle, I was on the triangle for 98% of my life, is living hell. So learning, oh, you know what? Oh, they're doing that thing. Okay, wow. Okay, maybe that's how they learn to connect. Maybe that's how they are trying to keep me safe. I don't know. Maybe that's how they feel powerful. I don't know. But that's not my shit. You got to really, really, really know your shit. So when other people's shit comes up, you're like, oh, okay, I have compassion for you. I love you. And here's a boundary. I'm going to take responsibility for my stuff, but you got to take responsibility for your stuff. I'm not going to take it on when, and again, this is, with a grain, but what I've learned in different things is when I start taking things personally and I don't see that other people are doing their shit and I take it personal, I open myself up to vulnerability in that situation, not being vulnerable and romantic and intimate. And that doesn't mean necessarily romantic, but it can be friendships, anything. When I open myself up and take things personally that are not mine to hold, I am vulnerable to other people's shit dynamics. And that doesn't mean they're shitty, but the triangle is a living hell. So does that help you, matcha dumpling? Okay, one more question, and then I'm going to say goodbye for now, or see you later, or ta-ta. And actually probably going to go deep dive into the questionnaires for the course I'm going to be creating, which is about how to shift and how to align with your true self and your true worth, and shift all the beliefs and let them go to step into your highest potential, really. So that will be coming out at an unknown time, but I'll give you all a heads up. And if you do want, actually, I don't have the link. I don't have the link. I was going to say, if y'all want more of an update on that, you can join the inner circle, which I believe every video has a link for that. And that's basically me just sharing stories like I share with you today, or just different insights I have that I like to share that I don't really know how to put in a video. So I share it with the people on the list. So if you're interested in joining the inner circle, click that link in the description of, I think, every video in the past 6 months or so. Hero, victim, I was like, wait, perpetrator or attacker? So again, the crazy part about it is you can have the same person being two dynamics. So if you're a victim, the perpetrator and the hero can be the same person. Sometimes people do kind of like say shit to you so then they can make you feel better. Or you might be that. Maybe you're trying to be your own hero. Like it gets really wild with the different dynamics. And again, no one's bad about doing it. It's a coping mechanism or a different emotional dynamic that feels familiar, and you're trying to get your needs met on it. But that being on the triangle automatically means like nobody's needs are going to be met, because it's basically a toxic triangle of hellish dynamics, just in terms of emotional experience. And again, I've been many loops around the triangle, and it's terrible because I wanted to be the hero. So I'd go victim, hero, victim. Sometimes, maybe be more the mean person or whatever. I'm not an angel. I've done a lot of shit in my past, but just trying to get the needs met. It's just really wild. Like for me, looking back in my life, and then, working with so many people over the last year, one-on-one, it was just like, whoa, this is powerful. So learning how to get off the dynamic. You are your hero, Joe. And the biggest thing is what I had to learn, which was like, I have to be my own hero. Everyone else has to be their own hero. Collectively, we can get inspired by other people, but when you step in to be your own hero, because if not, you're waiting for somebody outside of you. And maybe you have multiple heroes, but you're like, I'm a hero. Hey, I see that hero in you too, if that makes sense. Okay, so any last questions? Going once. This is like an auction now. I feel like my hair is behaving. Obviously, I got it cut recently, and like it kind of does its thing to like even out, because it was pretty long and it like, kind of bounces up. But then I feel like the last video, at the last like, I don't know, maybe minute, like it was just doing this like flare. Like there's no flare today. And yet in the video, if you look on the last one, it was just like bing. I thought that was funny. Okay. Oh, and then the one thing, I haven't talked about this in a while, but the golden rule is treat yourself like somebody else, well, like you'd want somebody else to treat you, but it's really like treat yourself. Gosh, now I've messed it up. Now I've confused myself. Yes, triangulation. Triangulation is, let me see. What is the golden rule? Treat others like you would like to be treated, but it's treat yourself like you would like others to treat you. That's the golden rule. Because if you're going to treat others how you want to be treated, for one, that's manipulation. Here, I'm going to do this, so you'll do that. It's also transactional. Now, no judgment that you're a bad person, but however, where are you in that? Treat yourself first, how you want others to treat you. I'm going to show you how I'm to be treated. Oh, whoa, you're not doing that. Okay, thank you. All love and light. Bye. So, but yeah, if there's no other questions, I'm going to skedaddle, even though I could probably sit on here another 2 hours and chat. Um, but yeah, thank y'all very much all for all your contributions, for your time, your energy, your love. Oh, one more question from Joe. The in the I'm still trying to like match. When I was back in Texas, I had a gym I'd go to that was like it was like a community thing because I also when I think about working out, it was always individual. But the gym back in Texas was like sometimes we'd go heavy, sometimes we'd more cardio, but it was like they'd play loud music and like it was just fun. So now that I've moved, I did like a walk challenge. Um, where I could like when I was walking, I'd kind of be like thinking about videos, ideas, and like responding to comments. So I really like that. But obviously now it is raining and cold, and I'm like, So I've got to look for my new thing. But I do think I do lift weights pretty good. I really like it. My body feels better when I do, and I've always been pretty strong, so that's fun to lift weights, heavy weights. I always found it something delightful. Oh, thank y'all. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. And I get a lot from y'all and I appreciate y'all very much. And I love y'all. And yeah, I really like these lives. It's a good time because when I do the videos and then I get comments, but now we're like, and I've actually also thought about this, and I don't know how it'll work. So give me some time. But I've thought about doing like a little thing where people who want to do like a Zoom, maybe we could have like, I don't know, a little system where you put your names in and it'll be like a lottery thing. I don't know how it works, but I don't even know how it would work and how many would be too many. But basically doing it where we could see each other's face if you wanted to. I don't know if that would make sense. But then whoever would do it, then we'd go on a Zoom and then it'd be fun. And then, keeping it small, but I don't know. Maybe we keep it at this for now. I delight in it, but I'd love to connect more one-on-one or, like face to face. Oh, hello. So is it a Celine? I think that's how you say it. Yeah, I know. If anyone has any answers about how that would work, so like what I'm thinking is like, okay, so say there was like 100 people interested. I don't know how many would be. Maybe it's just 20. I don't know. You put your name in, and I'd put it if it had to be reduced, then it'd be like a little lottery thing, randomly selected, and then we'd go in like a Zoom, and then we could like see and talk if we wanted to. But maybe I don't know. I think it'd be worth a go, like kind of an experiment. Who doesn't like experimenting? All right, guys. I love all of y'all. I'm so happy that y'all were able to join and connect. And yeah, I had a good time. And yeah, we'll see when we can do the next one. So bye for now. Take care. Bye.